Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, how's it going?
It's really good.
Good. I know you just changed careers, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But what I want to start with is how you got into being a school administrator, because you just left your position as the principal of the middle school in North Sanpete School District, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about growing up, where you were at, and how you got into it.
Well, my dad was in administration. A lot of people in this area know him. He's been around the block, John Ericksen, and I was going to be a physical therapist, and then decided that I wanted to switch and do something a little bit more with younger people, and so went into teaching and coaching and became certified in Spanish and health and PE.
Okay.
And so my first job was North Sanpete School District.
Where did you go to school for all of it?
So I went to Snow College,
Okay.
Got my Associates of Arts, and the arts means you can speak another language because I speak Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And then went to University of Utah for just a semester, and then transferred to SUU. They had the premier teaching factory, is what they used to call it. I don't know if they still call it anymore, but to become a teacher, that's where you went. So that's what I did.
Awesome.
Yep. And then master's degree was USU, but I never really set foot on USU's campus. I just did it through the IVC Center, which is on TV and microphones.
Yeah,
it's live classes, but it's just through the TV.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Where'd you learn your Spanish?
So I went on a mission to Boston, Massachusetts, and it was Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, and Guatemalans in that area.
Oh.
I never ever taught a lesson in English. It was,
Were you called Spanish speaking or Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
called Spanish speaking. It was pretty awesome.
That's interesting. I think you're the first person I've talked to that's gone to anywhere in the northeastern part of the United States as Spanish speaking.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Well, I spoke English. Obviously, it was in the United States, but I never taught a lesson in English. It was all Spanish. There's a lot of people.
Yeah, I served in Houston, and I had a lot of Spanish missionaries in my mission as well, and they taught everything. So they had to cover English areas at times, and so it was a constant back and forth for them. But
right,
that's a great time. So. So then school after that, and then you got into administration. Then where did you teach first?
So I taught at North Sanpete High School and at North Sanpete Middle School. My first year was a split time. I did a half a day at the middle school, half a day at the high school. I did pre-algebra and Spanish at the high school and pre-algebra at the middle school. Okay. And then after that year, Shirlene Dovey, Miss Dovey, retired. And so the health job was open, so I could go full-time at the high school rather than split my time half and half and travel in the middle of the day. Yeah. And so then I was Spanish and health from that point on.
Great. Yeah, I think that had to have been right about the time that I was getting into high school, because I think Mrs. Dovey taught my sister, but I don't think she was there when I was there, so it had to have been like in that.
It was 1999.
Yeah, real close to that time. So.
Yep, 1999.
Crazy.
I did that stuff for 14 years. Loved every minute of the teaching. I did Spanish 1 and health for a long time, and then added a Spanish 2 class, which about year 8, I added a little bit deeper level of Spanish class, which rejuvenated me to continue to be a good teacher, and loved every minute of it.
Awesome. And so what moved you to move, or what pushed you to go into administration rather than staying in teaching if you enjoyed it so much?
That's a good question. Part of it's money. You can earn higher wage when you're in administration. Part of it's the opportunity to have a wider sphere of influence on the system in general, the complete system, to be able to have more of a vision and circle of influence that's larger. However, that being said, when you switch from your classroom to administration, you also have the individual person right across the desk from you, or not even through the desk. Sometimes it's just within the office. And so system-wide vision and circle of influence, but man, was it also individual, right? And so just the opportunity to influence for good was kind of one of the reasons I did it, in addition to additional pay.
Okay. And you said your dad was in administration too, right?
Yep. He did athletic director at North Sanpete High School for 25 years.
Okay.
Then he was assistant principal for 1 or 2, maybe just 1. And then he was principal for like 7 or 8. Yeah. He did 35 years in education.
Dang.
And I got to 27 and a half before I switched careers, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that's great. I'm super excited to get into that. But what influences do you feel like you were able to have in the classroom and well, let's answer that first. What influence did you feel like you had on the kids?
So I felt like I had some pretty good expectations and that they actually learned from me. The health class, I had some quirkiness about me and some, those subjects sometimes are sensitive, but they're also interesting to talk about. Teenagers perk up when you say certain things or when you talk about certain subjects, and they're curious and they want to know. So I have really good experiences with actually making connections where the students really learned something. And then Spanish, I had those expectations too. It's a different language. It's basically basic, almost kindergarten, first, second grade Spanish level stuff because it's just beginning Spanish. So you're learning colors, numbers, easy sentences, easy verb conjugations and stuff like that. But I also, expected them to do it correctly and to try to do it correctly, not just acquire it. Although acquiring it was important, I also had the grammatical expectations that I would try to prompt them or correct them or mark their paper or reteach, stuff like that. So, my teaching days, awesome, really awesome. And so many students came through my doors. It was just wonderful. And I'm talking about students, but coworkers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there was coworkers, fellow teachers, departments, and just friends. And so I enjoyed all of that. And then just while I'm talking about high school, if that's okay.
Of course, yeah.
When I was a high school teacher and then later on another part of my career, the hardest part was becoming such close friends with the students, and then they would all leave.
Right, yeah.
When they would
you had
graduate.
A very limited amount of time with each person.
Yeah, so they would graduate, and I would just be there still. I could still run into them. I could still see them in different places in the community, but it was a balance, or at least it was a difficult thing to listen to, or not listen to, but to think about and to feel when you're good and close with them, right? So I enjoyed that part of it, becoming friends, but it was also difficult because they would all move on.
Yeah. Do you feel like, so you taught a little bit in the middle school, but only for like a year in the middle school?
1 year, half a day.
1 year, half day.
Yep.
So you might not know, how do you feel like the differences are from the middle school to high school as far as teaching? Like age of students and stuff. How is that variable?
Well, 12 and 13-year-olds compared to 14 through 18,
sure,
right? Some of the 8th graders are 14 years old, but they were more impressionable in middle school. They were more attentive and maybe paid attention well because they didn't know how far they could push boundaries yet.
Right.
But at the same time, the high school students were just awesome because they were more mature.
Right.
And you could talk about things with them and have a deeper conversation because they had stronger opinions. They knew better who they were. They were more defined in their individuality and their personality. 12 and 13-year-olds, they're still really defining that.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out who they are.
Yeah, they get a wide variety of what they're into and what they're, their bounds. It's a big span rather than a smaller span with high schoolers.
For sure.
Where they already kind of know.
Yep.
Did you do much with sports?
Yeah, I did a ton with sports. So my first year, I was an assistant basketball coach.
Okay.
And then for the next 4 years, I was the head basketball coach for North Sanpete High School. My last season, we had 8 wins, and they decided that wasn't good enough and decided to change it out for another coach, right?
Right, yeah.
So that's where I switched it up. And 3 or 4 years before that, in just my first or second year, maybe second or third year, I became the assistant tennis coach.
Okay.
Under my dad, who was the tennis coach, which was some of the most enjoyable years of my career because I was able to be with my dad,
right, yeah,
and be at the practices with my dad. And obviously, I was a coworker with my dad earlier, and we were both teachers. And then he was the administration, and I was a teacher. So working with my dad has been awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, sports wise. Tennis coach for a cumulative of 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah. While I was coaching with my dad and then with me being the head coach later on for a long time, having my own assistant coaches, we had 10 girls region tennis championships. And I think we had 4 region boys championships, if I remember right. And the last one for the girls was 2013.
Okay.
And I think that's the last time North Sanpete's girls tennis team has won a region championship, and that was one of my last years of coaching.
Sweet.
The girls. And then my sons, I continued with my sons because they were on the tennis team, and we took my last region championship and the school's last region championship, because they haven't won one since, in 2015.
Sweet.
Yeah. Yep. So I was heavily involved in the basketball, and then most heavily involved in the tennis.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you feel like the scheduling of being in the school affects your family life? Because that's a different schedule than what a lot of people deal with. Did you find it to be good to be around your kids during the school year, also at home and everything, or was it kind of like a thing to juggle and kind of difficult at times?
So, when I was first deciding whether to switch from physical therapy and going to education, one of the mentors that I talked to, one of the people that I trusted, he said that becoming a teacher isn't a job or a career choice. Mm-hmm. It's more of a lifestyle choice. And so that really resonated with me. I've kept it almost 30 years later, right? Or even 30 years later, because I went to school and then started my career. And so the lifestyle part of it, that's what I chose. It's a steady paycheck. It's not lucrative, but it's influential for good, for young people. And I decided that's the lifestyle I wanted. And to your point, you're home on the holidays. When your kids are home on the holidays, you have a little bit of a summer break, even though most teachers get a summer job or a part-time summer job. And then when you're administration, you don't get your whole summer. Mm-hmm. You get half of it or less. And so as far as family influence, it was really fantastic, because you could either be in school with your kids when they got to your level, or you could be home when they were home. And so that was wonderful.
That's something I've always been kind of envious of. Like, I feel like it'd be great to just, my kids are off, I'm off.
Yep.
It's great.
Yep, that's exactly right.
But I also know some people are like, my kids, like, it's difficult for some parents to be like in that role of administrator at home and at work, school. So just wondering how you dealt with it. If it was
no, it wasn't bad at all. I had great kids. They had perfect grades. They were really smart and didn't have any behavior issues, nothing like that. So It was awesome.
Yeah, that's great. So you've transitioned from teaching into administration at what point?
So 14 years of teaching, and then I switched into what they call an instructional coach.
Okay.
Which is basically a non-threatening way for a person to give feedback and improve the teaching of adults, of the teachers.
Okay.
So teaching the teachers.
Yeah.
So I did that for 2 years, along with some other duties that were assigned to me, like some data and some testing.
So did that take all of your teaching away? Like,
for
you spent
sure.
all of your day
It
just
was gone.
teaching teachers? Okay.
Yep. I would go visit classrooms, take notes, give them feedback. We had forums. We would meet. We would talk about it. We would do trainings.
I'm sure there's like
new teacher support
on that. Like, you have to do so many of that per year based off of what the state says.
Well, that's where the evaluations come in, and the instructional coach was not an evaluator. The principal is the evaluator, and then has to give a rating, and the instructional coach is non-threatening, just to help.
Okay.
And so there's been a model that's been implemented nationwide of instructional coaching, so that there can be more instructional feedback that's not tied to your job status.
Right, yeah.
Because the principal has to come in and do the performance evaluation, I guess you could call it, in the business world. And the instructional there, it said assistant principal.
Great.
Worked with Nan, Alt, and those were 6 of the best years that I hate to say that, because those tennis years were the best. Working with my dad was best. Right. But working with a mentor and a person that was a powerful leader in Nan, Alt, was really powerful and good too. And so I did that for 6 years with her as an assistant principal.
Yeah, great.
Yep. Do you want to know anything about those years?
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, my responsibilities were a lot of the discipline, right? Mm-hmm. And
well, hold on, back up just a little bit. How do you decide the differentiation of like what the principal does versus the assistant principal?
There's a list of duties for sure.
Okay, is it like regulated, or is it like up to the team to decide?
It was kind of up to the team.
Okay.
Nan Alt, she was really generous with her time. If people came and reported things to her, she would take the bull by the horns and go ahead and take care of the discipline for it,
Okay.
unless she wanted a partner in it, unless she wanted a team, a second set of eyes or a second set of ears or another mind to think it through. She would take a lot of it, which made my 6 years with her wonderful.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then, if it was regarding personnel, she took the hard cases with personnel, teachers who might have needed to be on an improvement plan or something like that.
Gotcha.
To improve their teaching, stuff like that. So I really look up to Nan Alt and appreciate what she taught me.
Yeah.
I'll just share one thing. When I first became her assistant principal or the assistant principal, she said, you're going to have lots of people request things or ask permission to do this or that, or whatever. And when they come to you and you have your first thought and it causes you to pause, that's where you have to pause for a second yourself. And that pause probably means the answer is going to be, no, we're not going to do that. We need to do something different. Or can we revisit that idea and tweak it this way? And so I relied on that for my full almost 12 years of administration a lot. When that request came in or that question came in and it made me pause inside, then I already knew the answer was going to be a negative or no.
Okay.
Although my philosophy was find ways to say yes. And the catchphrase that I said all the time, and people will probably recognize this when they hear this, was let's make it happen.
Yeah.
That was most of the time my response. Yeah, let's make it happen.
Gotcha.
But that pause was a powerful principle that she taught me at the beginning.
Okay.
And I used it all the time.
All right. So what were the highlights of you being the assistant principal?
Good question. I was able to work very, very closely with the student body officers, the four that there were, and to help shape the culture and climate and atmosphere of the school spirit. You graduated from North Sanpete High School, right? Mm-hmm. And then Hawk Pride runs kind of deep when you get involved really deeply.
Yeah.
And so, when I switched out of the high school and went to the middle school, that was one of the things that, even though I'm still in the school district, I wasn't with the Hawks anymore.
Right.
I know the whole community is Hawks, but it runs pretty deep. And we tried to create the depth of it by the environment that we created with our student leaders. And those four student body officers, those were the best kids and the best students. And they're some of my favorite people, along with a lot of my tennis players.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely the student leadership. Can't mention student leadership without mentioning the actual student leadership class, which was class officers with the freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. Mm-hmm. And their advisor was Ricky Stewart.
Okay.
And she was a super important piece of that puzzle with creating the atmosphere and the culture and the school spirit that we had for those 6 years and even a few years before and a few years after. She had a huge role in it. So we had a strong team.
Yeah.
And it's all obviously athletic directors, Sharon Christensen for a bit, and then Cheryl Hadley and Tyler Bailey, and they all create this atmosphere. So I felt like it was a powerful thing, and I felt like there was really, really good things going on during those years.
Yeah. That's great. That's probably the years that I missed, though. Like, it would have been after my time before my kids.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
That's all right.
Yeah, we started senior sunset. We started senior sunrise, last chance dance to wear your church pants. All kinds of stuff like that at the end with senior ball. So it was fun.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So what else was like the highlights of being an administrator at the high school?
Being there for the triumphs that we had in all the different aspects.
Okay.
Especially athletics, because I'm an athletic person, but also the triumphs of the choir and the band and the perfection and the quality product that they perform, and the drama program, theater, quite amazing.
Yeah.
FBLA, FFA, there was a lot of high quality stuff going on. And so I think the ability for me to participate in all that was amazing, because I could go to the golf matches and support the team as the administrator. I could go to the basketball game. And when I say could go, it was an assigned duty for most of that. We had to split it up and stuff like that. But it was also I could go because I loved it.
Yeah.
And I could watch the games, and I could watch the triumphs. I could watch the growth. I could watch the learning from life experience, because those things teach so many things, principles and core values to young people as they're participating in, whether it's triumphs or whether it's adversity or whether it's failure. And I was able to do that. But if you think about an administrator at a high school, it's not just one job, one full-time job. It's more of a job and a half, because the school day got over at 3:30, even 2:30, right?
Yeah.
And then the teachers could leave at 3:30, but all the stuff was between 3:30 and 9 p.m. or 10 p.m.
Yeah, all the games and everything,
right.
performances and all that.
And so that was hard on my wife, for sure. But it was also awesome because my kids were going to a lot of that, and my kids were involved in a lot of it, and I loved almost all of it. And so, but having a job and a half was a lot.
Yeah, that gets you tired real quick.
Yeah, and so after those 6 years, it was easy to just go down to one job instead of a job and a half and move to the middle school. So
one thing I've noticed since I was in high school to my kids now is there's been a big change in personnel at the high school. Like, I was surprised when my kids got to the middle school, there's like 5 teachers that I had at the middle school, but the high school I don't think has any teachers left that were there when I was there. But there was like Mrs. Dovey taught my mom and my sister, you know?
Yep.
So were you involved in that hiring process and things, and how was that?
I was at the beginning of it, I think. Okay. You know, Brandon Olson came in and Jory Turpin came in. Digger Henry came in. There was I was at the beginning of that changing of the guards, I think. Yeah. Near the end of my teaching and into the instructional coaching. And then obviously my 6 years. And so, there was some transition.
What's it like trying to find quality candidates in Sanpete? Because the population base is small, you know, it's difficult, I'm sure, to some extent.
Right. Well, if you're not from here, a lot of people don't really want to come and work here. They don't want to move here. Right. Some really want to, because they know the secret. Yeah. Like, you're raising your family here. I raised my family here. We know. Yeah. And so we actually have a lot of people on staff at all of our schools that are locals, because they're a part of our community. They want to be here. They want to contribute, and they want to raise their family in this place. And the Sanpete Valley is a special place. Yeah. And so it is hard to attract outside people, and therefore the diversity level in our school systems isn't very diverse. But I don't know if that's a detriment or not. Right. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. It totally obviously is. You could argue either way. But because we are who we are and we're raising our families in this community, I really believe that it's a positive to not be that as diverse as we could be.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, like you said, it's a double-edged sword. Yep. You know, it's a great thing because the people that are locals are going to have a little more investment than just giving their time, you know, for teaching for a paycheck.
Is it a stepping stone? Are they going to put in 3 or 4 years to get experience and then go somewhere else? Right.
But the kids that are the people that are from here, they want to stay here and grow and see Sanpete get better, you know, and have the school district become more than what it is. The other thing I noticed was the size of the student body changed substantially. Because what was it at? I think somebody was telling me it's like at 700 or something now. It's
approaching 800 for sure. And there's a few years, a couple of years ago, where we had some large classes go through that it pushed it just over 800.
Really? Mm-hmm. Yeah. How's that been? How have you seen that change? Just the process of school from less to more.
I don't know. I don't know that it's been as drastic as you think it is. Okay. It's been pretty consistent, pretty steady, and there's just bumps that go up with big classes, and then it goes back down. I mean, obviously, when I graduated, we had 110 or 15, and now the graduating classes are 150, 160, sometimes 170 if you count alternative school students. Sure. In that number, but it's not as drastic as you think, and so I'm not sure that's a line that I have much of an opinion on.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's even though I see it, it's just because I've been gone. Probably more than anything is it's just steady growth over the time. I mean, it was 20 years from.
Yeah.
almost from
And
when I was
we've
there.
gotten bigger and better, obviously. I mean, the theater program, it's grown like no other. The facilities have improved. I mean, the whole thing. So
you've
there
got
is
that
growth
add-on
that
in the
keeps
back
going up.
and stuff, and they're adding auto tech now.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
right?
There's an auto tech shop
Yeah.
that's going to be just west of the tennis courts.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of growth, and I love to see it. It's great. The more opportunity there is for the kids, I think the better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was sad when I was in high school because my freshman year I was a coder, a developer, and Steve Malin was the instructor, and then he left, and then there was nothing left after that. Like the whole rest of my high school career, there wasn't a computer class, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, but I also understand like that's kind of what happens when you live in a small community. The person with the knowledge leaves, and it's not like you can just have another person ready to backfill like that, you know. So I'm not upset about it. It just was, you know,
It is what it is.
yeah. And so the more there's like variation now for my kids that they get to have more opportunity, I'm like, that's awesome. Let's try and keep as much of that as we can.
Do you feel like the course offerings are there's a lot of them, and that there's good opportunities for your kids?
Yeah, more than there was when I was there for sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's
CTE, career and technical education. There's a lot of that.
yeah.
It's grown a lot.
Yeah, my kids went to RSL Academy, so SLA charter school in Harriman for their last school year. So it was my youngest son's freshman, my older son's sophomore year. And so that my older son went freshman at North Sanpete and sophomore there, and now he's a junior back at North Sanpete. And it was interesting to see the differences, but the amount of variety of class is considerably higher here that they have the opportunity to take. You know, like they went there and they took 10 classes in a semester, but they only offered like core credits, you know. So my kids took like 3 science classes because that's what was there,
Right.
you know. And so, and they enjoyed it. It was fun and everything. They missed their friends, wanted to come back down here, which is great. You know, I'm fine with that. It makes my life a lot easier than having to take them up there. But it was just interesting when we went to go sign them up for their this year, you know, grades or classes, and like they open the book and show us what's available. I'm like, man, that's a lot more than at SLA and a lot more than when I was there.
Yeah, and there's been a concerted effort ever since, you know, before I was an administrator to have good course offerings and purchasing some prep periods of teachers so that they could teach another class. But the detriment to that, when you look at the high school scheduling, is one course offerings. And if you want to take this one course that's the physics class and there's only one of them, it might conflict with the choir class.
Right.
And the audition choir class, there's only one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So sometimes the schedule becomes conflicted with all the choices because a lot of them are just one section of the class. But that's choices.
Yeah. And it's good for kids to have to try and make that and figure that out and navigate it for their lives.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay. So, assistant principal at the high school for
6 years.
6 years?
Yep.
Okay. And then you moved to the middle school.
Yeah. Yep. It was kind of it was an interesting move. I'll share a little bit, even though I won't share all the details.
That's all right.
I applied to become the principal.
Okay.
High
school?
At the high school.
Okay.
And I didn't get the job, which hurt my heart.
Sure.
Right. And so the former principal, Nan Alt, she was in the district office after that, and she offered me the opportunity to become the principal at the middle school. And so I did. And it was a good transition. It was a good place for me to be, and with good people that made it easy and possible for me to be successful there. And so there's a whole story behind that, but I didn't get the job. And Nan, who was my partner in crime for 6 years, and you have to have a teammate in administration or it's going to be impossible to do your job because it just requires that. She saw it and she knew it. And she let me have the opportunity to get that job when Mr. Hansen, Odie, became the assistant superintendent.
Gotcha. Okay. I couldn't remember who it was that was the principal before you, because I think it was someone else that I remember, but it's been so long, you know.
Jason Strait was before that.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I might have remembered Jason. I don't know. It's been a long time, you know. But
anyway, it was a really good opportunity for me to be at the middle school, and it was perfect timing after the disappointment of not becoming the principal at the high school.
Sure, yeah, that makes it rough to apply for the job and then stick around afterward to see everybody else, you know, and work. I get that. What was the biggest difference you noticed going from the high school to middle school?
Just the opportunity to go home at 4:00.
Okay.
You know, like I said, a job compared to a job and a half.
Yeah.
And then the other big difference that I noticed was I was able to really closely get to know high school students because of the involvement that I had with student leadership, with Upward Bound students. I didn't even mention that at the high school. And with the teaching the classes and then administration. So I got close with the students.
Mm-hmm.
They were old enough to be mature that I wanted to be their friend, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And now I'm at the middle school and they're 12 and 13-year-olds. I still want to be their friend, but they don't even know who they are yet. And so the ability for me to build those bridges and relationships was more strenuous with the middle school kids.
Interesting.
Yep. Even though I feel like I got there.
Yeah.
And you have kids there and you have a daughter there
Yeah.
right now. And so I hope that she had good things to say about it. And when I say it was strenuous, I figured it out, and I figured out how to develop relationships. Even though it was a different role and a different way, I was able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, all my kids went through there with you.
Mm-hmm.
And, all good things. Even when it was a bad call, still a good thing. Yeah. So.
I don't even know how many bad calls I gave you guys.
Only one that I can think of. So
that's good.
But it was followed up by a good one. So
okay, that's
it was all
perfect.
good. Yeah, it was great. But
it's like being an ecclesiastical leader in church. Once it happens and it's past, you just can't remember what happens.
Yeah.
And there's so many things, so many phone calls home, I don't even remember.
I'm sure.
Which one of your kids or what happened?
Yeah. No, that's fine. How do you feel like the middle school compares to other middle schools in Utah? Because I feel like Sanpete County's middle school is a little bit different than a lot of areas. Because like my sister in Harriman, they have a junior high and a middle school, and it's a different set of grades. And a lot of the schools have 3 grades in it, where we only have 2. And what does that do to us?
Well, I mean, we only have 7th and 8th grade,
mm-hmm.
Which means that every year half the school leaves to go to the high school, and we get a new half of the school. And so, I mean, I was trying to learn people's names, but I only had 2 years to learn their names and get to know them instead of 4 years when I was at the high school. And so that was challenging, but it also limited. I only had to learn 200 names a year, or between 175 and 200 names a year. And I didn't get all of them, but I did try. But compared to other school districts and other junior highs compared to middle school, when I went to middle school here at North Sanpete Middle School, when I was in 6th grade, it was actually at that building, and it was 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And a lot of people will remember that. Mm-hmm. And I'll let you in on a little secret, and it's not really a secret, but there's a vision to possibly put the 6th graders back over there in the near future, within 5, 6, 7 years, when they have the opportunity to build another wing to it. Mm-hmm. And so the 6th graders would have their own kind of 6th grade center.
Okay.
And it would be 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And 6th graders don't fit very well in elementary. They're already old enough that they just don't fit with little kids.
Well, they have curriculum requirements that are matched with middle school, right?
Exactly. Yeah, they're a secondary level.
Yeah.
Good job, And so 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, those are considered secondary.
Yeah.
Along with high school. And so it fits better if you bring them to the middle school. Yeah. And you have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Does it change requirements having only 2 grades from the state for kids as far as anything goes with that?
No. There's just middle school class requirements that they have to do.
Okay.
And they just have to take these classes. Honestly, they don't have to even accumulate credits. It's just these are the courses that are required to take while you're in middle school age.
Gotcha.
And you don't have to get 28 credits like you do at the high school to graduate.
Yeah. Okay.
And so comparing it to other places around, I do want to say that North Sanpete Middle School, the teachers there, like you probably know, some of them are the ones that taught you still. Mm-hmm. The transition and the changing of the guard that happened at the high school hasn't happened yet at the middle school.
Yeah.
And they're just powerful teachers. Yeah. They're really powerful. And the transition from an elementary setting to a middle school setting, it's a difficult transition for students, for kids. And the teachers at the middle school that had the brunt of the 7th graders, or even had all 7th graders and didn't teach 8th grade, that is a strong team.
Yeah.
They whip those kids into shape, understanding the transition and the maturity level that it takes to be successful in a different structure with 7 classes and with passing periods rather than just being with the same group of kids. And so you've got some really big names that are veteran teachers that are between 25 and 32 years, and they've been there a long time, that are the 7th grade team, and just kind of, whew,
yeah,
they get them going, which is awesome. And those teachers know who they are. I could name them, but I would probably forget one.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Preston Cox is the one that comes to my mind. Like, he was there when I was there. He taught my sister, me, and now all my kids. I think one of them didn't have. No, one of them. I think they all took him. So I think he's taught everyone in my family.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Tara Sim, same way. She has almost all 7th graders.
And they all talk about her too.
Cindy Johansson.
Yep.
Wayne Nilsson, science.
Yeah.
They have all 7th graders, and then Wendell Roberts with PE, practically all 7th graders, maybe one class of 8th graders.
Yeah.
I'm gonna forget somebody, but it's just a strong team, and it's necessary because the transition is tough. And so I enjoyed working with all of the teachers at the middle school. They made my job doable, because being an administrator is not an easy job.
Yeah. Is there a reason, or what's the purpose behind having 7 periods versus doing like the A-day, B-day split that the high school does?
That's a good question. The middle school actually did that a few years before I got there, and switched to a block schedule, and they didn't really feel like it helped the learning. It didn't help the pass-fail rates, and it affected their ability to be consistent.
Okay.
Like math every day. Math teachers want to teach you every day. They don't want to teach you every other day. Language teachers, Spanish, they don't want to teach you every other day. To learn a language and to remember it, you got to try to speak it every day. Choir teachers, music performance teachers, isn't it better to practice every day? And so I think they decided before I even got there that the block schedule wasn't for the middle school, and that it worked out well with 7.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's the only thing that I've noticed that seems to be a difference for my kids in middle school versus my kids in high school. Is in middle school, you have the daily, whereas the high school has the every other day.
Yeah, and I'll say one more comment about it, because the 12 and 13-year-olds and some 14-year-olds, they can handle 48 minutes way better than 75 minutes.
Yeah.
That the block schedule is almost 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I think the high school's still on 72 or 75 minutes per period, because they have a flex schedule in there with a small period of 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But the 48 minutes for 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds, it helps not only the students do well and survive to move and go to the next one, but it helps the teachers to survive.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
I can deal with you for 48 minutes. Now you can go to third period.
Focus is a little easier to maintain for a shorter time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. How do you feel like the district supports the middle school?
They're fantastic.
Great.
Yeah, they're really fantastic. They know what they have, and they know that it's a hidden gem, maybe, I guess you could call it. They know that they have veteran teachers who've been there for a long time that have high expectations. Obviously, the superintendent currently, Odie Hansen, was their principal,
Mm-hmm.
and his staff is still there, and he knows who they are and what they do and how good they do it. And so he's supportive of it for sure. Instructional coaches are assigned to the middle school also, and to come and help the middle school teachers improve. I feel like the high school is the showcase school because of all of the stuff that it has, all of the extracurriculars, and arts programs, and FBLA and other CTE things. And the middle school is completely academic, as it should be and needs to be. So we're not as shiny as people think of as when they think of the high school.
Sure.
Because they see the lights, the flag drop with the national anthem at the high school. They get to watch somebody catch the touchdown pass.
Mm-hmm.
They see the solo on the Hunchback of Notre Dame musical that's wonderful, and get to applaud it.
Yeah.
We do have some choir concerts, some band concerts, and now some orchestra concerts, and some theater showcases and a theater performance, but it's just smaller. And so I think the professionalism that the staff at the middle school does and takes seriously in their job is just steady and noteworthy because they aren't in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
They aren't in the limelight. Some of them don't want to be, obviously, but the spotlight's on the high school, which sometimes makes a difficult thing. But we're all about academics.
No, and like you said, I think that's the most important thing for that age. Like, you don't want to. I feel like you can go overboard with giving younger kids the ability to choose so many different things. You know, like you were saying, their attention span's very short in a lot of cases, and so like if you were to have everything extra going on all the time, would they actually learn and have the time and take the time to learn the things they needed in order to progress? You know, so I agree. I think they should be the shining point of the district to show that they can teach what they're supposed to teach. You know, like that's impressive on itself to me.
Well, I mean, the middle school has gotten awards recently for that.
Yeah.
You know, for longevity in excellence, and you know, it's good that periodically the middle school gets some headlines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How did I mean, obviously it was a different school for most of it, but how did like going from teaching to administration affect your influence on the kids? And we kind of talked about that a little bit, but like what was like the big things that you felt like were different? Because you still were around them, but you didn't have that same like classroom influence.
Yeah, when you in any career or any job that you have a circle of influence, students and a teacher, instructional coach and teachers, administrator, and the whole system. And so it just became bigger, but it also was more spread out. So it was more difficult to create strong bonds with more people. I mean, when I was a teacher, I had between 150 and 210 students every year, and got to know all of them super well because you spend quite a bit of time together. And then when I'm an administrator, you have students that are in your office for 7, 8, 10 minutes because they were in trouble, or they have a special education an IEP, individualized education plan. And so the chances to actually have strong relationships weren't as easy at the middle school level, mm-hmm. or as easy when I was a teacher.
Yeah. Do you feel like you still had the influence you wanted to have as an administrator?
I think so. You know, it just took a little bit of time. My first year at the middle school was the year of the masks.
Wow.
We're coming back from COVID.
Yeah.
So I had to lead, you know, COVID happened fourth quarter of the year before I got there, and while I was at the high school. And then I moved to the middle school, and everybody had to wear a mask. And so how are you supposed to get to know students when you're just telling them, pull your mask up? Because we had to tell them that, because that's what people told us we had to tell them. Mm-hmm. So, and I know there's strong political opinions about that, but that was my first experience trying to build bridges with students. Was they were all wearing masks. I couldn't even see them smile.
Right.
And it was harder.
They also couldn't see you smile.
Correct.
You know, so
yeah, no kidding.
That makes a big difference in a kid's life.
For sure.
You know?
Yep.
So only seeing half the face, man, that's hard to make any kind of judgment calls on how things are going.
For sure.
But
that was a tough year. And then slowly but surely, I feel like, back to your point and back to your question, I was able to figure out ways to connect with younger students, and just some of my quirkiness and little things that I would do or say or act, how I would act, would build a bridge with them.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Quick example. First week of school, a group of boys, one boy peels off from the group of boys with a little gift bag, and he could tell it was a gift for a girl. He walks over and gives it to a girl, and she smiles. He doesn't really say anything. I mean, he's only 12. He's a 7th grader. He comes back to his group of friends, and I'm standing there out on bus duty interacting and just kind of monitoring for safety and other things. And so I kind of say, hey, that's nice. That's W Riz. and the whole group of boys, they're like, whoa, you know, because W Riz means that he's a winner and has some charisma.
Yeah.
He just had an experience with W Riz. And so one of his friends is like, Jeff's got aura, or whatever, however you say that. And so those are small quirky ways that I tried to build bridges.
Sure.
You know, if the orange chicken or the chicken Alfredo or the country fried chicken steak at lunch, I would walk up to a few of them and ask them, "Hey, how's your pizza? Is it bussin'?" You know, and bussin' is supposed to be really good,
right? Yeah.
And so, just little things like that to make it me build bridges with students, even though it was. And sometimes I would purposefully try to be awkward with them because they're awkward already. That age group is just a little bit awkward. So I was awkward with them, and we were just awkward together, and we just smiled after that, and we had some quirkiness to us.
Yeah, I mean that's the way you gain any kind of relationship, right? Like speak to people on their level of understanding.
Yep.
And I've never thought about that from a middle school perspective because that would be way different than any kind of professional setting I've been in. You know?
Yep. I learned a few words like how's your huz? Huz means their boyfriend or their girlfriend.
Right. Yeah.
You know, or yeah. If I knew him well enough, I would ask him, "Is that your huz?" Stuff like that.
Oh, that's awesome. What do you feel like was the biggest success you did as an administrator in middle school?
I love that you asked this question because the last 3 years, there's just been a powerful program that I implemented and stole from another administrator. And it was one of the, and I've said this 3 or 4 times, best, right? All throughout my career. But to culminate my career, this was best. And it was a wonderful experience. But it was a program that I stole from a speaker that I heard. She was the National High School Teacher of the Year, and she shared a bunch of ideas, and this one piqued my interest. I'm like, oh, well, I can do that. And so I stole it and put it in the middle school, and it's called Positive Principals Office Referrals.
Okay.
And it's where all the adults in the building could refer students to the principal's office for good things instead of for being in trouble. And so over the last 3 years, I had almost 400 students referred through that program because teachers bought into it. They realized how awesome it was. And so there was a Google form, and the teachers filled out just a paragraph of why they wanted this kid to be recognized, why they wanted him to send to the principal's office and have a positive interaction, and what they deserved. And so they would send they would fill out the Google form. I would get an email. And then when I got time, I would pull the student into my office, and you can imagine students getting pulled out of class. The principal needs to see you, right? And you know that if they're 13 years old, they're going to be nervous.
Yep.
And some of them, they've been in my office the week before for a behavior that they needed to be talked to about.
Sure, yeah.
And so anyway, they would come into my office, and some of the kids, I would ask them, "Is this your first time ever in the principal's office?" And they're like, "Yes." I'm like, awesome. So, and then I would kind of break the good news to them that this was a positive visit and explain the whole program to them, that they were referred to me for something they had done, some improvement they had done, or just something noteworthy that the teacher wanted them to be recognized. So I would read the paragraph to them, which they're good adults that have high intelligence, not only in their subjects, but in relationships. Mm-hmm. And so you can imagine that the paragraphs that I read to the students, they were personal. They were, intimate's not the right word, but they were like individualized.
Yeah.
They were powerful. They were positive, and they were just, they promoted self-esteem. Mm-hmm. And so I would read that to the student and tell them, the teacher that wanted you to be recognized, this is who it is, and this is what they said about you. And I had several students cry in my office with how good they felt.
Yeah.
And then I would give them a candy bar, a regular size candy bar, and in front of the lunch line pass, a button to the lunch line for free.
Sweet.
Do you remember those?
No, I never got any of those.
They were like gold at the middle school, and they are like gold. And then I would give them a ticket to our drawing called a Falcon Feather. And so anyway, then I would say, let's call one of your parents and tell them all about this and read this to them. And so oftentimes I would just have them pull out their cell phone, and we would call and put it on speakerphone. And then I would tell them, just tell your mom or your dad, hey, I'm in the principal. Hi, Mom. And then Mom would say hi. And then I'm in the principal's office. Right. And the student, when we were prepping this, they would smile at me, and they would get on board with playing a small joke or making their parent feel a little bit uncomfortable right at the beginning of the phone call, and smile about it. And then we would tell the parent the good news. And we would tell them all about this, your student's smiling and I'm smiling, so don't be worried. This is a good phone call.
Yeah.
And then I would read that to them and tell them that we appreciated the influence and the impact that their son or daughter is having at the middle school and that they're being noticed for good things. Mm-hmm. We appreciate you as a parent for raising a good son or daughter. They're doing good things at the middle school. You must be doing something right, Cindy or whoever I was talking to. Because it was true. It wasn't just insincere. It was real.
Sure.
Because this whole program was real. And it was really, it was impactful. It's a good word for it. So I had parents, some parents, you're going to make me cry, or some that actually did cry as they learned about the good, noteworthy things that their student was getting recognized for. But the rest of the program, which is really the best again, the whole program is awesome, right?
Yeah.
But the other best part of it is that I would ask permission from the parent and the student if we could record on the school iPad that I had a video message from the student back to the teacher of gratitude or what they like about their class, or simply just thanking them.
Yeah.
And so then I would record that and upload it to Drive and send it to the teacher. And the teachers then felt the impact of it also. They felt appreciated and cared about, and just that they were making a difference. Yeah. And so you think about it, the student had a positive impact. Mm-hmm. The parent had a positive impact. Mm-hmm. The teacher had a positive impact. And here I am in the middle of it, just basking in all of the good feels.
You get to be with all of it.
Yeah, the good feels. It was just awesome. And so I gave out nearly 400 candy bars and called 400 parents with good phone calls, and that was so rewarding. And I know teachers have kept those videos. Mm-hmm. I shared the whole folder of all of the videos with the school board members and with our district administration, and just told them, when you guys doubt that public education is making a difference, or that our teachers maybe aren't having the impact that we think they are, watch these videos.
Yeah, because
it's kids saying good things about their teachers, or about their bus driver, or about the secretary, or about the school nurse, because we had referrals from everybody.
That's great.
Yeah, custodians.
Did you see a big change in the way students and teachers interacted after that?
Honestly, it was not an advertised program, and so I think so. I mean, they were once they had that connection, they had that connection.
Yeah.
And not every teacher did all their students. If you think about it, there's almost 400 students in the middle school, and we probably did 175 per year.
Yeah.
So there's still 225 that didn't get an award, that didn't get the phone call home, didn't get the candy bar. But those 175, when they went back to class and they faced that teacher that noticed them, yes, there was a difference.
Yeah, it seems like at least in my life, when something like that happens, where I see it a lot. Like if I'm going to buy a new car, and I'm thinking about I'm going to buy a new car, and I decide what kind I'm going to buy, all of a sudden I see it everywhere. And so I wonder if that's kind of how it was for the teachers, if like they got that positive reinforcement for doing something good, and so then
they did another one. They referred another.
It makes them think about what's going on rather than just my class is here. No, I'm not saying that any of them don't pay attention. I'm not in the classrooms to know that, but I'm just thinking, me personally, I would probably be paying more attention to see if there was more kids that I could give this to, or,
for sure,
that was an act that I could see somebody getting an award for.
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. And we honestly, we had core values that I tried to instill in the school to create the atmosphere and the culture that we wanted, so that learning took place the best we had, and the behavior lent itself towards good teaching and good learning instead of behaviors. Mm-hmm. And those values were implemented into this program, because a lot of the teachers would recognize, hey, this student is really being very inclusive with other students, mm-hmm. and helping people belong. They're really friendly to a lot of people. Or they took this student that was having a hard time underneath their wing, put their arm around them and helped them, and then the teacher would recognize him. So, I mean, some of those values that we promoted, they were definitely reasons why students were sent. We had obviously the middle school for a long time has had the core value of, or the motto of, make an effort, not an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
And so students that worked hard, they got referred to the principal's office quite often.
Yeah.
We also had a theme called Team NSMS, I believe, or I belong, you belong, we belong, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
everybody belongs.
Yeah.
So I belong, you belong, we belong. And teachers would notice students helping others belong, refer them. We had another theme called Have Courage and Be Kind. And so when students had courage and were kind, they referred them.
Great.
And then the last couple of years, I really tried to promote the idea of being present. And obviously that's multifaceted.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about school, being present, it's all about attendance, right? You got to be in school to learn. You got to be in school to hear the teaching and do all the stuff. And that was important. And that was the basis for the program. Whenever I decided to do it, it was about attendance. But we also got together as a faculty and a staff and talked about the other facet of what present means. And when you're present with somebody, you're fully engaged.
Yeah.
You're looking at them, you're head nodding, you're living in the moment, you're making them feel like they belong because you're so present with the person.
Yeah.
And the more you can be present with somebody, the more people will want to be around you. The more friends you're going to have, the better the classroom will feel because everybody's just present with each other. Yep. And so we tried to promote the idea of being present, based in attendance, but then, hey, this is what it really means to be present.
It's interesting because I think that used to be something that you felt around all the time. You know, you'd go out as a young kid, when I was young, before cell phones, all that stuff. You go somewhere, you talk to somebody, they're present with you.
Yep.
You hang out at a store, you're seeing people and you're present with those people. And I feel like now you can stand in a crowded room and feel alone. And that's probably the first time in a long time that's been the case, that it's possible to do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's even more important that you have that present.
I agree. And I love the idea that schools and our governor is trying to crack down on cell phone use in school and, you know, let's limit it or even get rid of it. So real quick, one of the things that I would do with the idea of being present is when I had a moment that I thought about it, I would pull a quick report for first period or for second period or whatever period we were in about the attendance and the teacher that marked roll. And then if there was nobody absent or nobody was tardy, then I would write my quick list. Hey, these 4 classrooms are perfect right now. And they're all present. Nobody was tardy. Nobody's absent. Nobody's sick. Nobody went to the dentist. They're all there. Mm-hmm. And the teacher marked roll timely and appropriately. And so I would jump out of my desk. I would grab a coworker. I would grab a counselor. I'd grab a school resource officer or a secretary, and I'd take a bag of Dum-Dums. And the teachers knew when I walked in with a bag of Dum-Dums that they were perfect in that moment, that their class was perfect, and that I wanted to give a speech. and so I took 90 seconds, and my coworker, school resource officer, secretary, counselor, whoever, they would pass out the Dum-Dums to all the students, and I would give them a speech about being present and told them, hey, you guys are all perfect with your attendance right now, but let me tell you about being present.
Yeah.
And they would look at me. And they would head nod. We got to the point where I could say, you guys have heard this before, especially in the 8th grade classes. I would say, who wants to give the speech for me? And then sometimes a kid would give the whole speech. Other times a few would just chime in with some of the ideas about what being present means. And so that's another way that we tried to create a culture of people belonging and wanting to be around each other.
Yeah. Let's see. What's the biggest thing that you didn't get to accomplish, or that was the difficulty of being at the middle school?
Gosh, you've thought about these questions, huh? That's a really good question. Gosh, what didn't I accomplish? I didn't learn every kid's name.
Sure.
I don't know that we were ever arrived academically. Although our teachers are fantastic and we do solid, good instruction and solid, good learning. The accountability aspect, I wanted to figure out a way to increase accountability for passing classes. it's just not the same. I mean, what accountability for passing classes is there in elementary school?
Yeah.
Really, there's not really much accountability. They're going to go from second to third grade.
Right.
Middle school, they're going to go from sixth grade into middle school.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really get held back very much. And so the middle school, they don't have to have, like I said, 14 credits to graduate middle school. And so the accountability level is diminished because of that.
Sure.
And
when there's no bar, it's hard to say I'm going to reach the goal.
Right. Yeah. And so that was a thing that I really wanted to try to address in the next few years, in that job, being the principal, was to figure out a way to increase accountability for students and their learning, and their effort and them wanting to pass classes. Although, I mean, our pass-fail rate was right around 90% passing, mm-hmm. and 10% failing.
Sure.
When I was a high school teacher, I checked that as a teacher every time, and my averages were 88-12, 88% passing and 12% failing, because I just checked every quarter because I wanted to know, how is this going?
Yeah.
And so anytime it got higher than 12%, I started to panic and think, okay, I didn't teach that very well, or how can I change? How can I get better? Or this group of students maybe didn't put forth the effort that they needed to get the 12%. But the middle school pass rate is hovering around 90% right now, which is, 15 years ago it was 96, and it slowly crept down to 90.
Gotcha.
So anyway, accountability is one battle that I wanted to fight that I didn't get a chance to fight.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's great. So now I want to kind of talk about just overall in education. What do you feel like were the trends you saw culturally through your time that changed for the better or the worse? And this can be from the community or from the school or however you want to look at it, but things that you noticed that changed.
Well, I mean, after 27 years, the beginning in my career, there was a lot more parental accountability of their students, having their students toe the line. And there still is that. Don't get me wrong. There's still parents that have that, but I think it's diminished. And the idea that teachers aren't doing their job is false. And I don't like the idea that parents are worried that teachers are indoctrinating their students. There's a set curriculum. I mean, we have to teach it. And, in the rare cases where I had to talk to a teacher about that, it was just a quick, hey, we can't preach, we have to teach.
Yeah.
Right? Here's the curriculum, stick with your curriculum map. Let's look at your standards, and let's make sure we stick with the standards. And we can teach students about the concepts, both positive, negative, advantageous, and disadvantages, and then the students can make up their mind in the middle what they believe.
Yeah.
But we just teach them it all. We don't ever preach it to them and tell them what to believe. And so I think society is transitioning a little bit to that idea that teachers aren't doing that like they should, and that they're trying to influence students into what to believe rather than just teaching them about concepts.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something you see in the news or on social media or things like that. I can't say that I've seen that in person, and I can't say my kids have experienced that even from the different schools they've been at, but it's definitely something you hear about. And so it's something that my ears perk up and I'm like, how is this going in school? But I haven't noticed a lot of that.
Yeah. And one of the jokes about middle school is if we could indoctrinate him, we would indoctrinate him to shower every day, because that age group doesn't smell good sometimes. Right.
Yep.
So yeah, I just feel like that's a trend that I wish we could reverse. Teachers are good people. They chose the profession for good reasons.
Yeah.
They want to influence society for good and for citizenship, to raise young people up to be good people.
Yeah.
They have good hearts. They don't get paid enough to not have a good heart.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And so I see that as a trend. I feel like societal issues have increased, the broken families, the abuse, and things like that are bleeding into the school system. And then the expectation from families and lawmakers that teachers are the answer to solve all the social and emotional problems.
Right.
Schools are schools, and they've been schools forever. And social and emotional learning is important. How can you teach a kid that doesn't feel loved or doesn't belong, or that was just beat by their dad last night and comes to school with a bruise that they're covering with their hoodie or whatever? But I think that there's been an overemphasis that public education is the catch-all response and answer for everything, when in reality, the family is the thing that should be the catch-all response for everything to solve issues.
Yeah.
And so that has transitioned to become worse.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I still believe in social and emotional support. I still believe in taking care of a kid. I still believe in loving a student so that they know that they're safe in your classroom so that you can teach them. I believe in all that, but I don't think we're the only ones that should solve that problem, which is kind of where it's transitioning to.
Well, it should be that you're saying, you teach those principles and you give them the tools to learn how to be that way and to recover and things like that. But you shouldn't be the one that's like trying to fix the issue. You know, that's a counselor type situation, not a teacher type situation.
Right. And we only have so many school counselors, and they're really school counselors. Some of them come from good backgrounds, but most of them aren't psychiatrists.
Right. Yeah. And I would even say that when there's situations like that, it shouldn't be handled by the school so much as it should be handled by an outside person that has the ability and education to do so, you know?
Yeah.
But
I do believe that the school counselors that I've worked with, they're powerful and phenomenal, and they have trust of students, and students that do have things that are going on that are risk behaviors or that are adverse situations that they're dealing with. A lot of times the school counselors have built a relationship of trust so much that the student will talk to them about it. And then the counselor can save their life.
Yeah.
I saw that lots of times.
Yeah, I feel like the counselors and the teachers both, like, you kind of pointed at this, like, they're good people. They don't get paid enough to be not good people and do their job, right? And as a good person, you want to help the kids. That's the reason they're doing that. And so when they see these issues, they want to help, you know? And so it's just as much that the kids need some help outside as it is the teachers need to be able to say they need help outside, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, like, I don't fault the teachers at all, because that's just their heart coming out and showing their love for the students when they're trying to help. It's just not their job. They don't need to do that.
Yep.
So,
you know, and one of the ways that I tried to help students realize that I was one of those people that could help, that I'm a safe person to talk to, even though I'm big, you know, and I'm kind of an intimidating person. And then just by the mere title of being the principal, I told the students from day one in the middle school, I want you to call me Jeff, as long as it's with the correct tone of voice and it's, you know, respectful still. I would rather you call me Jeff, and we'll just work it that way, which was me trying to create a balance of friendship and bridges and trust and an atmosphere that was awesome. And then balance it with, hey, take that hat off. Hey, pull your mask up on that mask gear. Hey, we don't do that at school. Hey, pick up your trash. And all of the discipline things, you know, we can't bully, and here's your warning. Here's your detention. Here's your suspension or whatever.
Yeah.
But I had both of those things.
Right.
And I tried to balance it with this type of an aura in 12-year-old language, if you want to say it, with the other role and responsibility where I had to be the boss.
Yeah.
And I had to be the principal, and I had to do my job, and I did it as well as I could. And I did it just like, you know, people knew that when I talked to them, they knew I was going to follow through. I hope. Yeah.
No, I know. I always felt like you, for my kids, you were a great administrator. You know, we didn't have any issues or anything. And like I said, we had good and bad calls. So it never went, in my eyes, negatively. It was always the right thing to do. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
But what do you see, and this is just in education in general now, what do you see are the waves of the future? Like, what's coming down the pipe for teachers and for administration and for students? like in reference to homeschool and AI and, things of that nature? What do you see is happening?
I think there's a lot of flexibility in education now. There's a lot of ways to get your credits. There's a lot of ways to take the classes. There's a lot of different options, and some of those options aren't public education anymore. Mm-hmm. Some of them are online schools and charter schools and private schools and homeschool, and scholarships that have been diverted from public education to private families to do homeschooling. And so I think that's going to continue. There's different ways to earn your diploma in high school now, different ways to achieve the 28 credits. And I think that's just going to get more diverse as we continue. Mm-hmm. Flexibility and the ability to show that you know it and are able to do it and get that credit and graduate. I think it's just accelerating in that regard. And so that's just one thing that I think is going to continue that we've seen. And COVID again kind of opened that door even wider mm-hmm. to all those online
Definitely
things and online
it.
Schools and competency-based things where you can just show and prove that you got it, and then take the whatever to get the credit, whether it's the huge exams or whether it's you have to sit through the whole semester to get it.
Right.
So I feel like that's going to continue, that the diverse ways to accomplish your dreams of your schooling in a faster way is just going to keep going.
You think it's going to be a positive?
I don't know, because I'm a believer in the experience. Mm-hmm. I'm a believer in being in the classroom, sitting in front of a captivating teacher that's got a personality, that you can't believe that 48 minutes or 72 minutes is already gone. And you engage in group discussions. You have banter and debate with each other and with the teacher. And a lot of those things in some of the other diverse ways to accomplish your credits aren't there. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a traditionalist, mm-hmm. even though I believe that for a percentage or a portion of the students, those things are necessary. But for the majority of our students, I want them to be in a classroom. I want them to be with a professional. I want them to be with an expert in the subject. I want them to be with a captivating person that has a personality and a huge heart to make a difference in their life, rather than in front of a screen on their kitchen table.
Right. And so what do you think AI is going to play into this?
Yeah, AI, I think it's going to become a tool for teachers and for counselors and for principals more than it ever has been, in preparation, in taking what they already have and making it better. I think it's going to be a powerful tool, but students need to be taught how to think rather than have something think for them. Mm-hmm. I mean, part of the purpose of education is to help them to figure things out and learn how to learn. Yeah. And if you don't know how to learn and you just know where to go, or you know what to look at, or you know what prompt to put in, and then let somebody else do all the thinking for you, then we're going to lose that ability and it's going to be diminished, I think. And so even though it can be used as a tool, it's also going to be detrimental. And so there's that double-edged sword again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like today, the internet's been out here for, I don't know if you knew that, in Fairview.
I didn't know.
Centricom's had an outage for, it was a couple hours. I don't know if it's still going or not. I haven't checked to see if it's.
I was on. Up, maybe it didn't affect my house very much.
Yeah, I don't know. We've had it since probably 2-ish, something like that. But in those scenarios, like, you don't have AI that's going to be able to help you. You're going to have to figure out how to do something on your own. Yeah. You're in the mountain and doing something. Likely you won't have internet connectivity to ask questions and figure out what is the right thing to do. So I agree. And I think the biggest thing that people need to continue to learn that you learn from school without taking a class is troubleshooting. How do you ask the right question, problem solving and things like, how do you get the right things moving so that you can implement the tool that you need, which could be AI or it could be something else, but how do you get the right questions to move the ball in the right direction to get the answer?
Yeah. I think that the AI, that people can shape your values and shape your ideals better than AI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so when you interact on an interpersonal level and you have all those discussions and you listen to a teacher and you are able to ask the teacher questions and the teacher can respond with intelligent conversation, it's just going to make everybody more intelligent and better than the other. So that's my opinion about AI.
Talking about like having heart, that you can feel somebody having heart. It's like the X factor of a conversation. You could sit and have this exact conversation with AI, and AI could be asking you the questions and you could answer, and it would be probably a lot of the same information, but it's not going to have the same effect on people, and people aren't going to be as interested to listen because they don't feel the conversation of us and the heart that we have for what's going on and the topics we're talking about.
Yeah, you can't smell it.
Yeah,
you can't see the exhale.
Yeah.
Those are indicative of communication.
Yeah.
And of feelings and of just realness.
Yep.
Reality.
Yep.
So yeah.
I agree. I use AI quite a bit, and my company has a big drive to use it more, which I don't really carry the way. It's neither here nor there to me, but I feel like I've got that ability to problem solve, at least to some extent, enough that I can get through what I need to without having AI, and it's okay anyway. But I do worry, looking at some of the future generations of kids and some of the kids that are new employees that I work with and stuff, and their ideas to rely on things like that, and it's troublesome.
I tried to use AI this morning to write a goal for my new job, a performance goal, right? Mm-hmm. And I put in the ideas that I had, I put in the title and just a couple of details, and then it created this wonderful thing that wasn't me. Like the tone of voice wasn't there. It didn't have the personality that I wanted. It didn't have the feeling behind it that I wanted. And I consider myself a pretty good writer. And then I let it write it for me.
Yeah.
I just deleted it and went and did my own because it had me inside of it. And, when people read about me and what I'm trying to accomplish and my goals that are personal things for self-improvement or to impact, quote, the company or the career that you're in, then, it needs to be, they know that I'm the one that's doing it.
Yeah.
And the tone of voice that I have and the words that I choose that have more meaning in an interpersonal way.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is the new job? Let's get into that.
I don't know that job's a good word for this one. It's my plan was to stay with the middle school and get to 30 or 32 years of my public education, job.
Sweet. So you are going to be the recorder, what does that entail?
That's hard to describe, right?
I didn't even know this was a thing in existence. So,
well, a lot of people don't, and I don't know. So it is the two main priorities of a recorder are to elevate and safeguard the member and patron experience in the temple.
Okay.
To something sacred because it's a sacred work.
Yeah.
And then the second one is to record all of the different ordinances that are performed, whether for the living or for the dead, and record them in the books. And that's scriptural. Yeah. Right? Yep. Because what's recorded on earth is recorded in heaven, and I'm to assure that things happen in a truly and faithfully in the proper way, and then certify that it's correct and recorded properly. So it's an interesting job, and job's not the right word.
Yeah.
And I don't even really know yet
right.
because I haven't actually done it, but I've shadowed a few of them. I went to the Payson Temple. I went to the Provo City Center Temple and shadowed some recorders there and saw and interacted. But it's ministering instead of managing, if that makes sense, because it's kind of like managing at a temple
Mm-hmm.
in a ministering way.
Right.
Have I described what a temple recorder is? You're still like, I don't know what they do, Jeff. And honestly, I don't either yet, because I'm only 2.5 weeks into it. But I'm starting to get the vision, and I'm starting to realize the growth that it's going to require from me. But I do have some skill sets, some experience in interpersonal interactions, and core values and beliefs that I've had the whole time I was in public education, interacting with people, interacting with students, and helping make a difference for good. And that's just going to be enhanced and magnified as I am able to be humble enough to try to minister instead of manage in the temple.
That's great. So is it like you're going to have an office there? And
Yep. I'm in the office.
There.
I have my office, or an office.
Wow.
Next to the president's office and his wife, the matron. Yep. It's kind of crazy there. Yeah.
Have you got to go see it yet?
I actually was in the Ephraim Temple a couple of weeks ago because the inspector came, and that week while the inspector was there, we were allowed to be in there. And so the temple president and my manager, Michael Christensen, he's an area manager for the temples, and me, and then a couple of church inspectors, we walked through the building over and over and over again, and we thought and we talked and we figured and we felt and we inspected and we looked at things we want to add or change. So even though it's done, it's not really done, because they've got to change these doors out or that door out. They've got to add a door closer on it because it won't stay open. They've got to buff out some scratch marks already in the woodwork. They've got to increase the lighting because it wasn't bright enough in some of the areas. It's just stuff. And so people think it's just collecting dust. It isn't just collecting dust. They're still doing a few little touch-ups here and there and changes and punch list items to make it worthy of the Lord.
Yeah.
And they're keeping it clean. There's a custodian. There's a temple facilities manager. They've hired a cleaning crew who comes in until it's dedicated, and then members will go in and donate their time to clean it like other temples. So it's not just sitting there collecting dust, and it's not completely done, but it's pretty close to done, and it is beautiful.
Great. No, I've always looked at that like the Lord's not going to drag his feet on opening a temple. You know, like if there's stuff that has to be done, they're going to get the stuff done, but they want it to be right when it's open. Yeah. So it might take a little extra time, but the Lord's not like, we'll wait for another year before we open this. Like,
there's so many that are in process right now, so it does take a little while. And the Manti Temple is 108,000 square feet, and this temple is, low 40,000 square feet.
Right, yeah.
40 to 45,000 square feet. So it's less than half of what the Manti Temple is. But when you walk up to the temple, it's still big. It's still a temple. It's still huge. The ceilings are still really high. It's still really elaborate and beautiful, even though it's going to be smaller.
It's beautiful on the outside. I mean, the look of it is different, and I like that, So I'm excited. I'm excited to see it and how it's going to be and everything.
Well, the word I get is that it's about third quarter is when the open house and dedication will be. And if you think about third quarter in a calendar year, that July, August, and September. So somewhere in July, August, or September.
Sweet.
There's some news. There's some news. I think that's what everybody already has heard. Most people are hoping that it's in the next few months, but it's going to be probably third quarter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's got to be right. No point in opening it and then have it close it, do something else. So.
Yep.
But that's exciting. Are you excited to do it?
Oh man,
I think it's
so excited.
Is it like drinking from a water hose, like any other job?
Or? It is for sure. It's a huge transition. But I feel like it's going to be one of the best for my ability to continue to work. Like some of those concerns and some of those patterns and things and changes that we talked about with education have become harder and harder.
Yeah.
And so I was ready to do 4 more years at least. And this opportunity came up, and now I'll be able to do 10 more years.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'll just be able to emotionally and spiritually and physically handle it better in the environment and just what it is compared to being a school principal.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't feel like there's anything easy about being a principal in any school, but I feel like middle school has got to be one of the roughest. So I commend you for doing the time that you did.
Well, it was 5.5 years, almost 6. Yeah. The new person is Ryan Sim, and he's going to be awesome. Yeah. He's got lots of experience. He's just a year younger than I am, and he's going to do good. He builds bridges with students. He's got quirky ways about him. I think most of the teachers know him very, very well and trust him. So I think the middle school's in great hands.
Great.
Especially with who they already have, because we talked about the teachers, right?
The staff.
The staff has been through, some of those teachers have been through 6 principals.
Wow. Yeah, that's a bit of turnover. But I understand it. What do you feel like are the things that, if you could have said to the community to help support the middle school and you didn't have the opportunity to, what would they be?
Just know that we are in it to make a difference, that we chose our career based on the right reasons, that trust should be there. The middle school's not as scary as everybody says it is. We actually get some people or other elementary schools or whatever tell us, hey, watch out for this group or this, this class or whatever. This is a difficult student. And then they get to the middle school, and most of the time, not most of the time, but a lot of the time, we don't see what we were warned about because of the nature of the secondary level, because of the nature of the structure with 7 periods and the movement, because of the new friends that they can make. They're not stuck with just those 26 kids from Fairview Elementary. They now have almost 200 7th graders. They just spread out. And so oftentimes just the nature of the structure combined with the personnel and masterful teachers that we have resolves all of that. Yeah. And so I would tell parents and community stakeholders to trust the middle school more than you do. And it's not as bad as it sometimes seemed. And just because maybe you had a small or a bad experience when you were in the middle school 35 or 40 years ago, it's really a good place to be. And it's really a good place to send your students. And there's open communication. I would tell them that, there's people that actually care and want to talk to you. And that if you want to be treated with respect, you treat the teachers with respect. I think that's a big one.
Yeah.
And it'll be a positive experience for everybody involved.
Yeah. Well, great. I think that covers pretty much everything I had for you. So.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else I want to share. I just, hopefully I didn't go too far on some of my own beliefs, but I guess I don't work for the school district anymore. Although I am grateful for them, and I'm grateful for the opportunities and growth and the lifestyle, like I said before, that I chose, and the ability that our North Sanpete School District and our North Sanpete community gave to me to raise my family and to try to make a difference.
Yeah.
And so I'm just thankful for what I had and how I was able to try to have an impact and make a difference.
Yeah.
Like my Spanish classes back in the day, I used to have a cultural unit about Don Quixote, and he's a knight, right? And it's a famous book. And he comes in a world of iron to make a world of gold. And that's been one of my core values in my career and in my life, is just try to make a difference.
Yeah. Well, you definitely made a difference in my kids' lives, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate you coming here today and spending some time with me. So
awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting me share.
Yep. All right. Thanks, everybody.